know how I was so proud of myself because in my last haul I was like, hey, I haven't actually purchased that many books and I've done really well. And then realised that I forgot that spring also includes May, so I needed a part two. May happened. I fell into the works again. And then there were a few other purchases. But I will say this is pretty much it. I didn't do any online, like ebooks or audio or anything like that. It was just physical. But let's go through these. First off, because I was doing my 30 and 30 manga, I was on a video call with some friends and I said that if any, because they all read manga as well, and I was like, hey, if any of you are looking to get rid of some manga, please let me know. And so I got One Piece volumes 1, 2, 3, like the first omnibus, as well as Chainsaw Man volume 1 that I don't have physically because my uncle's now borrowing it because he's interested in it. And I read all of them, so at least, you know, I'm reading the books that I've been buying. So I got all of those and I have read those. Then, as I said last time, that I bought Flawless and Heartless because of the Chestnut Springs read along, and because I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy them, I only bought the first two. Well, I did enjoy them, so I went back and I bought the next two, Powerless and Reckless. Unfortunately, they didn't have the final book in my Hopeless. They didn't have that in my local store, so I'm going to have to buy that separately, which is annoying. But as I was there, and obviously these are in the 3 for £6, I picked up another one. I picked up Mike Gale, The Museum of Ordinary People. This one just caught my attention. So I got these in the 3 for £6. Yeah, and then I got Rootbound by Tara DeWitt. And it looked good and it was pretty cheap. I also picked up Love at First Night. So all of these I picked up in one haul for about £14. But to quickly go through, so these are books 3 and 4 in the Chestnut Springs series, which centres around the family, the Eaton family, who run a cowboy ranch. The first two books were more set on the ranch and featured the sort of cowboy aspect. The third one follows Jasper, who is a friend of the family who was basically raised by them and taken in, but he's now gone on to become a professional hockey player and plays on the Canadian national team. And then we go back to the cowboy aspect in Reckless, where we go back to Theo. So I've been surprisingly enjoying them, but it did mean that I was then susceptible to pick up another cowboy romance set on a ranch. And I have read this one already. I gave it 4.5 stars. And this is Rootbound by Tara DeWitt. Basically a woman who works as a photographer and is then commissioned by an author to go and get shots of this ranch as inspiration for her next novel, not realising that Tate actually grew up on that ranch and hasn't been back in 20 plus years since her parents divorced. So she goes back, decides to deal with the family trauma and the fallout that's going to happen of her going back and deal with all of the past. And there she meets Henry, who is the sort of handyman of the ranch who was taken in and is part of the family. And so there's a tiny bit of a clash between them, and then we start to have the pair of them trauma bond and work through their stuff together. And honestly, I thought it was fantastic. I did have a fantastic time with it. The Museum of Ordinary People is basically about a woman who's not really sure about what she wants to do in life and where she wants to go. So she ends up working in this museum to help save it when it looks like it's going to go under. And it's basically a museum that just holds the ordinary objects of ordinary people, but each object has a story and she finds herself immersed in the stories and in the worlds. And Love at First Night is a romance that is going to be enemies to lovers, even though it's not really, it's just going to be dislike to lovers. But you've got Daisy, who is really excited to get a job working at a castle doing the night training school for the little kids. And then she meets Theodore, who is a disgraced distant relative of the royal family. He's begrudgingly helping with the programme and he causes something to go wrong for her. And that causes friction between them, but obviously we all know how that's going to end with them smashing. So I look forward to reading it. Also, look at the sprayed edges. There's like arrows and hearts, and it's so, so cute. So if you have a Works, go get it. Then I had surprise mail come through the post because I had 3 things that I ordered all at once. So I was waiting on 3 packages and 4 arrived. The first one was the manga. The second one was the surprise, and that is I forgot I'd even applied for this, The Dissonance, which is an arc from Titan Books that they very kindly sent me. And I wasn't, like I said, I forgot that I'd applied, so I was quite surprised when it arrived, because especially as it had been over a month, so I thought I hadn't got it. Basically, this was a group of teenagers who were trained in magic. Yeah, a group of teenagers, they stumble across a missing boy deep in the forest surrounding Sleepy Clegg, Texas, and they discover a world of sorcery and untold power. So begins a new life with the Dissonance, under the tutelage of Professor Elijah Marsh. 20 years later, separated and broken by their experiences, the friends are pulled back to Clegg for the anniversary memorial service at the town's high school. Each carrying their own trauma, they come together once more to confront the legacy of their actions and the monsters they failed to bury. Hurled into a collision course with the apocalyptic events of their past, Owen, a young man trapped in service to a murderous entity, and several lifetimes of mistakes, 3 unsuccessful adults and 1 frightened teen are all that stand between reality and oblivion. This is kind of giving me loose Chosen One vibes by Veronica Roth, but hopefully this will be much better than Chosen Ones by Veronica Roth. So I am excited for this, and I do have it in my reading plans for June. And then the ones that I was actually expecting. So first up, I had an invite. I saw on TikTok that HarperCollins were doing a sale. And when I went onto the TikTok shop, the sale had ended. But because I've never ordered from them before, they had some amazing offers as a first time, like your first time purchase. And one of them was the hardback of Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross for £2, including postage. It was like £2.12p with free postage. I would have been a moron to not go for it, and I have been wanting to get this in hardcover because it's just so pretty, and I love the design and I love the cover. So I was very excited to get this, and the fact that, like I said, £2, it's crazy. You don't get books like that. So I did pick that one up. And then the final thing that I got was Orbit sent me an email saying they had a 40% sale on, and it was the day after my payday, so I thought, you know what, let's have a look. And I said to myself, I set a timer for 5 minutes. It's like, if after 5 minutes I can't find 2 books that I want, I'm coming out. I'm not going to do it. Well, I found Promise of Blood pretty much straight away popped up, and I was like, well, Jonah, absolutely, I think this is his favourite author of all time, and it's his favourite series, and I know he's really eager for me to read it, and I am also going to be reading it for an upcoming vlog project involving Jonah. So I was like, it'll be nice to have a physical copy of it. And then I spotted one that was on my wish list last year. I did pre-order it, but then when it came to release, I couldn't afford it, so I cancelled it. And so that was Gods of the Word or Weird. I need to figure out which pronunciation of that word it is, by R.J. Barker. This one features a guy who used to be he's known as the Forester, and once he was a warrior. Udini serves the goddess of the lost, and when she ventures into the Weird Wood to find a missing child, Kahan will be her guide. But in a land at war, in a forest full of monsters, Kahan will need to choose between his past life and the one he leads now, and his choices will have consequences for the entire world. It sounds like my cup of tea, but always it kind of was like the realization that I am now an adult who likes to read adult fantasy means the books have suddenly gotten much chunkier than my YA counterparts, and that kind of made me die inside a little bit. So that was the haul that I got in May. Obviously, I did buy a lot more books than I was planning, but for most of them, they were either free or were incredibly cheap. And I'm actually really happy with that because, I have been known to spend a hell of a lot more than that. But anyway, that does mean that that is part 2 of my spring TBR. So if you'd have my spring haul, so if you haven't yet seen part 1, please do go check that out as well. Let me know if you have hauled anything exciting recently, or if you've hauled something and read it, what was it and how did you find it? But in the meantime, I hope you're all good. I hope you're staying safe. Don't forget to check out my Patreon that you can join for free. And I will see you all on the next one. Hope you're good. Hope you're staying safe. Bye.